Hello, this is Pastor Rosemary, and this is Pastor Rosemary's Final Prophecy Watch. I wanted to make this video as sort of a follow-up video to the other video I made where I was talking about what happens after we die. And I was sort of looking at some different sources and talking about, at this point, from everything that I've studied, what I've come to think might happen after we die. And I also had worked a lot as a registered nurse, so I was a CPR instructor trainer, so I dealt a lot with that aspect of life, and I've had to be around that kind of thing a lot when I was working, so as a nurse. And then of course as a psychic and as a psychic astrologer, I've been, and now a Christian psychic, I've been having to look at the more spiritual aspects, and I've also been studying Kabbalah and ceremonial magic for a very long time. Now, I've also studied the Bible a lot. So, just kind of searching for the meaning of life. A lot of us do that. And some people aren't interested in that, but some are. And some people only become interested in it when these kind of things affect them. And everybody's different, so it doesn't really matter. But the point is that we have something that we can help others to understand, and also when they're faced those kind of situations, but also for ourselves when we're facing various situations in life, when we have loved ones pass on, that kind of thing. So, and even our own mortality. Now, I kind of talked about what I thought the birth process involved in the other video about what happens when we die. And this one I want to focus on the afterlife and the experience of the afterlife. What will we experience in the afterlife? In the other video I had mentioned that a lot of different Kabbalists, especially female Kabbalists, have the impression that the human body is like the placenta, and that the soul is like the baby. And the same thing that happens to the placenta, the same thing that happens to the physical body, and the baby is the soul, and the same thing that happens to the baby happens to the soul, so that death is a birth into another, which, people talk about a tunnel and the light and all that, into another reality, okay? And other Kabbalists talk a lot about how this reality is very much the opposite of the other realities. And if you study magic and you read books, I read a lot of books by Pat Zaleski, The Golden Dawn. I read the big doorstop Israel Regardie book about the Golden Dawn, about how there are 4 worlds, Yud He Vav He, the name of God, and fire, water, air, earth, king, queen, prince, princess, these 4 worlds. And in Kabbalah they have Hebrew names. Now I've studied these worlds, and these worlds, the world that we are in here goes through gradations. It's attenuated, and it then. So by the time you get to the top world, the king world, and you have the princess world down here, it's going to be very different. Okay, so that's why you would say it's very different. One of them more associated with spirit and fire. The next one associated with archetypes, being the water aspect. And then you have the world of formation, Yetzirah, which is for like our plans that we make, in the world of action, the world of Asaya, here in the world of matter. Okay? And with that said, I would like to give you what I've come to at this point in my studies. Again, I've read a lot of books. I read Mystical Kabbalah by Dion Fortune. I've studied a lot with, a lot of books, and had a lot of teachers. So I just want to give you what I've come to at this point. What I think the afterlife experience might be. I did used to also, again, I mentioned already, I worked as a nurse, so I kind of can see the biological aspect. A lot of people say that they thought, some of the male, one male rabbi joked that he thought the body was more like the dressing over a wound. You just sort of throw away, it's not really that important, it's to just cover the soul. That was somebody, his representation of it, and his, whatever works for the person. But I guess because I'm a female, those of us that are mothers understand that how that would maybe mean more to us. Okay, now, as I mentioned, if we're coming from in the other video when we talked about how as you're going through life, this body is the placenta that is between you and God, and the soul is everything. It's the universe. The soul is the universe, which is your soul. The entire universe is your soul. The universe from your perspective, it's like a hologram. From your perspective, if you have, like in a hologram, if you have another person's perspective, then you are part of their universe, and they're the placenta. You see? So you're part of their soul. But from your perspective, you're the placenta. Everybody else is part of your soul. And so they're the soul, and you're the placenta. If it's you looking at it, if they're looking at it, they're the placenta and you're the soul. But not just you as a part, the whole universe and everything that's encompassed in it. The monad. There's the monad, which is the self and not self. Then there's the glorian, which is even higher than that, the greater countenance. The Arik Anpin and the Zaira Anpin, the little face, the lesser face, and the greater face, the glorian and the monad. So we have these, macrocosm and microcosms and all of this. But to keep it more simple, that's why I like associating it with biology, because that works for me. Some people might think it works better to make it similar to like electricity, or how a machine works, or how quantum theory works. Or some people might do it mathematically, which is probably fantastic. But for me, biology works because of my work. So, because I'm interested in health, and and staying healthy, and having a good quality of life is important. So, with that said, now that we've established what the perspective is, the person being the placenta, and the body, and their soul being that which is everything outside, what seems outside. Okay, everything that seems outside. But encompassing everything, because the whole universe is in each of our cells, right? Our whole body is in each of our cells. That's sort of the holographic nature of our universe. We all read a lot of books about that, probably, if you're interested in these kinds of things. All right, so now, as we go, as this body is like the placenta, and it becomes the afterbirth, the afterlife becomes sort of the same thing. I'm not trying to be gross, I'm trying to make it understandable for myself and for others. And how our blood, the placenta that feeds the baby is the intention that is the blood with intention, the blood of intention that feeds the soul of the universe that you're caring for and making sure it makes it into the next realm. Now, a lot of rabbis will tell you that Moses is the placenta as well. A lot of rabbis will tell you that. I've read that in several places. Okay? And so, and sort of our deliverer, Jesus Christ or Moses, or, our deliverer, sort of like the OBGYN doctor, sort of helps it through. And you have to sort of trust at that point. So, but then again, that's the physical body. So what we're talking about is trusting the process of life that your body is going to do anyway. Your body is going to do it naturally. We don't have to figure it out. Our bodies are going to do it anyway. And the whole universe works by itself. We don't, humankind isn't the only thing that with our thinking that makes things go right or wrong. We think that we're so important, but in reality, this place works pretty well without us. Life, the force of life, works pretty well without us. The creation works well without us, but we're part of it, so of course we have to be involved. And us thinking about it does have one very important necessity, and that is that it makes everything conscious and makes it able to be enjoyed. So why did we go through all this in the first place? Because when everything is perfect, you're not going to be conscious of it. Only when things seem a little like, you have to figure it out, do you become more conscious. I think that's the reason for that, for why we had to go through this in the first place. They call it in the Israel Regarding book, the Golden Dawn, they call it the fortunate fall of man. All right, now, regarding what the afterlife would be like, if this body is like the afterbirth of the placenta, we're done with it, bury it under a tree, feed the tree with it, discard it, whatever. Different people do different things with it, use it for medical research, whatever. And you can do that with your body, right? You plant a tree with it, you can, all the various burial things, or you can give it to science or whatever. That, same exact thing. Help others with it, give them your organs or whatever. Some people would rather be buried or cremated, but whatever makes that person's religion and spirituality, or even lack of religion, whatever makes them feel best. They might want to be involved in cryogenics and have their body frozen and hope for another. And we're going to talk about that in a minute too, about what would happen to your soul, because I've given that a lot of thought, because I thought about the freezing aspect too, that might be something I'd want to do. So I'm not sure yet, but we'll see. So, not that I need to worry about that right this second, because I'm very healthy, but thank you, God. Okay, now, so what would we experience in the afterlife? Like, are we going to see like we see now? Are we going to look the same? Are we going to hear and have the same sensations and taste and smell and hearing and sight and sound and feeling? Are we going to have all of those kinds of sensations? And those of you involved in ceremonial magic, you may have, tried to work on your bodies of light and taken on trying to, accentuate or try to activate, is a better word, your senses in the next realm, in the higher dimensions and the higher worlds, in the higher worlds that we talked about earlier, the 4 worlds of the Kabbalah. Like Yetzirah and Bria and the Yetzirah and Asaya. Yochida, I think, the first one. I have to look that one up. But the first one I can't remember right this second. But anyway, moving right along. Pardon me if I said those wrong, because I didn't mean to really talk about that during this, but I wanted to just show you how most religions have some form of that. Like, there's different levels of heaven and hell in different religions, and they're very much all the same. The words are different, the translations. Okay, so what would we experience? What would we experience? If you think about it, when I used to teach Lamaze, we would teach that the baby would not have any breathing function until it was born, and then it, either by the, being slapped on the butt or by whatever method, would have to be, either begin to breathe on its own, or would have to be coaxed into breathing on its own. And then when it breathes, there's a very complicated mechanism where valves shut and close and open and this and that, and things reroute, and all of a sudden this infant that was floating in amniotic fluid, being fed by the blood coming through the placenta, and all the proper filters and all that, all the intelligent design of nature, that this baby would not even know such a thing as breathing existed. Like we say, does the soul exist? I don't feel it. Where is it? Where's my soul? Well, the answer to this is it's everything around you that you got to take care of, because that's going to be your body, the universe, that you need to take care of it. Just care about it. Trust life, and give good intentions, because that's going to be your body. That's why what you do to others, you do to yourself, because that's your next life. That's why all this stuff about karma and all that makes sense. So, the soul, just like the infant, it has no sensation at all of breathing when it's in the amniotic fluid before it's born. It has no sensation of that. It doesn't even have any, when you breathe, you feel your lungs. But the infant doesn't have that until it begins to breathe. It doesn't know the sensation. It doesn't know the organ of the lungs, the organs, the 2 lungs. It doesn't know. It doesn't have that sensation. It's like, oh, because it didn't need it before. The infant didn't need it in the womb. Didn't need the lungs. Okay? Doesn't have the sensation, doesn't know about it. It has no idea. So lungs, breathing, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in lungs. The infant would say, floating in the amniotic fluid, I don't believe in lungs. I don't believe in breathing. I have no sense of it. And none of my sensory organs can detect anything like that you're talking about. You're crazy, you're nuts. Breathing doesn't exist. The lungs don't exist. I don't believe it. But baby goes through the canal, out into the light, the smiling faces or masked faces, and in that case, then the baby's coaxed into breathing in, and some cry and some don't, and the baby is breathing. Suddenly, a sensation the baby's never had before, a knowledge of an organ that the baby never had before, a sensation, a whole new experience when all the valves, and rerouting occurs, and this whole magnificent system gets into place, and the brain is going to be picking up more on the concept of breathing, because it was getting it just from the blood coming through the placenta that was coming from the umbilicus, and all that is going to be a whole new way of perceiving. And now breathing air. What is air? I have no idea such a thing as air existed. This kind of thing, no sensation. And all of a sudden this glorious sensation. Now this is exactly what it's going to be like when you die and you go into the next realm, which is going to be based on how you treat everything around you. We've all made mistakes, but let's be conscious. This body is the placenta. This life is a placenta. Let's be good to the universe that we're taking care of, that is outside of us, because that's the body we're going to inhabit in the next dimension. This is what I've come to know through my studies in the Bible and in Kabbalah and ceremonial magic and all of that, and the studies in this life of becoming a nurse and then becoming a psychic and astrology and all of that. So with all of that, understand that what would make something heaven and hell and all of these different things would be like if you have bad intentions towards the universe and others, and you're only selfish and you have no good intentions for anything outside of you, then that's like the placenta not giving that baby any blood, and that baby is not going to be healthy, and that baby might not make it, or that baby might make it but not have all its faculties. So that's why you want to take care and have good intentions of what's outside of you and the whole universe, all other creatures, and why you want to take care of things as well as you can and be as conscious as you can of everybody else. Not that you have to worry so much, because again, life works very naturally. We have to just trust the Creator and just be in a state where we're good stewards, just like the Bible tells you to be good stewards of earth. Adam was supposed to take care of Garden of Eden and all of that. But again, the point is to be conscious. It'll be a whole different body that we can't imagine. All different sensory organs. The Bible talks about a glorified body, and that is you can see it. It's around you, but you're not seeing it with all the sensory equipment that you're going to have when you're in that body. Just like the baby didn't know it had lungs, or maybe didn't know what it was like to run, or to eat, or have taste so much, and it didn't, or smells of, might have just rudimentary of those, but none of the breathing, but rudimentary of all these others. So that's what it's like. And when they say that there's going to be like serpents in the world, and fire and cold and this and that and the other thing, they're talking about the vessels that feed the baby. Those are the serpents that sometimes wrap around the baby, and that becomes a problem. So those things have to be carefully cared for. So you see how these descriptions of heaven and hell come from actual sensations that people have, depending on whether they cared for the baby, which is the universe, or not. So instead of saying that the universe is going to take care of me, I need to understand that I need to take care of the universe. And I don't have to know all the mathematics, and I don't. I don't have to have all of the quantum physics figured out. I'm interested in it, but I don't have all the mathematics in my brain. But the reason I really enjoy Kabbalah is because it does teach you about your intention. The reason I like ceremonial magic is it does teach you about your intention. The reason, Jesus did miracles, and and he was a Jewish rabbi. So, and the Jewish rabbis, they got their, Moses, when came out from Egypt, they brought the magic of the Egyptians with them. The Ark of the Covenant was an Egyptian device, and it used to have two winged goddesses, rather than two angels. So it was an Egyptian device. So, he understood magic, which you can say miracles, magic. It just, high technology makes things wondrous. And there's always a way to explain it. If your science is good enough, of course you can explain anything, but it doesn't matter. It's wondrous. Life itself is wondrous. So therefore, that is what I'm saying the afterlife is. The new sensations, like when a baby breathes and suddenly realizes it has lungs, doesn't even know what it looks like till someday it looks in a mirror. He or she looks in a mirror. It's why. So when you read it in the Bible, or in like the Tibetan Book of the Dead, or you read in the Pert M. Haru, or some of these other things, you can, or the the Zohar. It's a very important book in Kabbalah, which I have and I've read. These descriptions are real. They're sensations. They're sensations. So this is a reason why we all need to take better care of the universe that we behold every day. And again, each of us has a different perspective. Each of us is the one who has to care for the universe. So I have to care for everything and everyone outside me, and the other person has to care for me and everything and everyone outside of him or her, and understand that they don't have to care. And just because someone doesn't want to care and doesn't, what would happen if they don't care, and that baby, which is the universe, what if they don't care enough, or they don't have good intentions, and it doesn't work, and the baby and their next body, their glorified body, isn't there? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen is the life force, according to Zohar, according to Kabbalah, the life force that's in them, that spark of God that is in them, spark of the Creator, spark of God that is in them, is going to remain like a flame, spiritual flame, that part of God, that we all have that Spirit of God within us, or else we wouldn't have life. And that flame, that eternal flame, is going to continue to incarnate into various bodies or realms or dimensions in order to come to where the person can find the most happiness and the most fulfillment. Because the Creator is merciful. The Creator is merciful and loving, and everything is done ultimately for our own good. And if we only understand that, we justify the Creator and we do our best, then these things will work out very naturally and very nicely, and everything will be put in its proper place. Because not everybody has the same things that make them happy. Some people like one food and not another food. Some people like some kind of music and not another kind of music. Some people like some forms of art, pictures, and other people like other kinds of arts or pictures, and some people don't like any of those things. Some people just want to do accounting, and some people, just want to play football, and different people want to do different things. So what's going to make one person happy isn't going to necessarily make another person happy. So let's understand that since God, the Bible tells us, made us like a potter makes a clay pot, some vessels for destruction and some for life and for creativity and for being utilized. The one that has to be destroyed That's going to be like the spark will still be in it, and when the vessel is destroyed, that spark will go to another vessel that might then be used for something else and actually go to another incarnation where it's in a different vessel that will be utilized for something or become an immortal soul. So there's always that spark of God, and when you understand that you're a part of God, and God's spark is in you, and that's the center of who you are, and the rest of it is sort of just a fulfillment, even more fulfillment, then you will understand more that there's actually that everything that God does, that everything He presents us with every day is to ultimately bring us fulfillment and joy, and that what we have to do is understand that, know it, understand why it might be like that, and then find out the good in a situation and go with that and trust it. And if you do that in every small thing, it's been my experience that if I do, like if I have something difficult happens, like, I don't know, I'm trying to study and somebody's making a lot of noise or something, if I understand maybe I need to go eat lunch, maybe, something like that. Or maybe I've been studying too long and I need to go take a day off, something like that. And then if you do it in small things, it won't tend to blow up into big things. You take care of those small things, and like they say, take care of your pennies, your dollars take care of themselves, that kind of thing. All right. I hope this explanation has been helpful to you. It's the best I've come to, and it's very fulfilling for me at this time to have come to this understanding through all the studies that I've been involved in for all these years, and I hope it's helped you. And again, I wasn't trying to be graphic. It's just the best way I can explain it to myself and to others who maybe are, understand things through biological, anatomy and physiology, because maybe that's what you studied. Other people, again, will have other ways. But I hope it's been helpful. Thank you. We'll see you again.